Arrow put out a video a couple hours ago about the whole thing happening in the UK with Steam. He's going to give us some more information on what's happening with Steam over in the UK, which I'm curious about. Like, you guys at like Heckle and other UK stories, you've mentioned this. I'm guessing he might dig into it a little bit more. I am curious. I am interested. So let's find out.
So there's currently a class action lawsuit in the UK against Steam, more specifically their owner Valve, for alleged anti-competitive practices. And of course, while the class action lawsuit is in the UK, this will affect Valve all across the world, depending on how this lawsuit goes. And spoiler alert, the whole thing seems like a con from organizations and corporations that don't like how consumer-friendly Steam really is. So get this. This is how twisted this lawsuit is.
Wait, stop it. What did that say? Hang on, I wanted to read that. Come on. Oh, I'm hitting the wrong fucking button. I think. No, I'm not. I'm hitting the right button. Why is this not working? There we go. Come on. Back it up. God. Fucking YouTube, get your shit together here, will you? God's sake. Okay. The claim alleged that Valve holds a dominant position in the PC gaming market and that it may have used this position in ways that violate UK competition law. Under UK law, companies are prohibited from abusing a dominant market position. So they're pissed about the fact that everybody wants to buy from Steam, and Steam is very consumer friendly. Okay. It
really is. So get this. This is how twisted this lawsuit is. The proposed representative for this lawsuit in the UK is a woman named Vicky Shotbolt. And the lawsuit claims to be taking collective action on behalf of 14 million UK Steam users, the majority.
Okay. I want to know how many of these 14 million UK citizens actually want her to go forward with this. She's attempting to take forward on behalf of 14 million UK citizens. I'm sorry, receipts. I want receipts for these 14 million UK citizens you are supposedly bringing a lawsuit on behalf of. Because I will betcha there's none. Other than the Karen bringing up the lawsuit. Yeah. Oh, I guarantee it.
Of probably don't even know that they're being used like tools in this lawsuit, and they're automatically being forced into this litigation. They have to manually opt out if they want no part of it. Vicky Shotbolt herself.
Wait. Hold up.
Litigation. They have to be used like tools in this lawsuit, and they're automatically being forced into this litigation. They have to manually opt out if they want no part of it. Vicky Shotbolt.
So this bitch is able to file a class action lawsuit on behalf of people that may want to have nothing to do with it. And if they don't, so she's forcing people to engage in the lawsuit. And if you don't want to engage in the lawsuit, you have to manually opt out of it. That is some dystopian level shit. That is absolute fucking dystopia. Yeah, we're going to force you to participate in a lawsuit against this company, even if you like this company. And unless you're aware of this, your name is going to be roped in. She's a party member? Shocking. No. Not opt out if they win. They can only opt. I don't think it's if they opt out if they win. It's wait, whoa. You're not allowed to opt out? So they're really. So that was a fucking lot. That, well, I'm not hero, but he was maybe misinformed.
And the lawsuit claims to be taking collective action on behalf of 14 million UK Steam users. The majority of probably don't even know that they're being used like tools in this lawsuit, and they're automatically being forced into this litigation. They have to manually opt out if they want no part of it.
Right. So it's not like if they win, they can opt out. It's saying you have to manually opt out if you're even aware of it. before, like, with this lawsuit being done. So so once again, the party is forcing the citizens of the UK into something that they don't necessarily want to have anything to do with. I mean, that's part and parcel for the party these days. That's, that makes sense, is that to try and achieve some kind of bullshit legitimacy, they're going to force the citizenry to participate in a lawsuit that they want nothing to do with it. Wow. Yeah. So yeah, basically it's not even that they've opted in. It's millions have been forced in and they can't even opt out. And they don't even know it. That's the thing, is they don't even know they have been forced into this. You know what? I think that may be coming. Cutting UK out. I think that may be coming, that Steam, unfortunately, that may be something that we see coming. Where Steam just goes, you want to play this game? Cool. Steam is no longer available in the UK. Yeah, it should be a crime, except if you're in the UK, which is currently run by a fascist dictatorship of government. It should be, yes. But this is the UK we're talking about. And I think what we're going to see is we're going to start seeing Steam may cut service to the UK. Steam would lose money, no question there. But honestly, given the headaches that they're having with the party right now, I'm pretty sure that Steam is just going to say, fuck it. We're making enough money with the rest of the world. If we lose the UK, okay, we're losing 14 million customers. We'll eat that. And they'll basically just cut off Steam from the UK. I could see that happening. I can also see that maybe starting to happen with more and more internet type services. If the party is insisting on doing this kind of shit, I can see the UK getting cut off from the rest of the world with a lot of services if they keep pushing this.
Vicky Shotbolt herself has ties to the UK's Office of Communications, aka Ofcom. Yes, the same Ofcom that we discussed extensively back around September of 2025 for the UK's Online Safety Act that they're trying to roll out and enforce on all citizens in the UK, where they claim to be protecting children, but really they're using children as a shield for their true goal, which many see as...
not so much a shield. It's not so much using children as a shield, it's using children as an excuse. Yeah, both. Okay, you know what? Never mind. Both. They're using them as an excuse and as a shield. I'll do it both. I mean.
Surveillance and the removal of anonymity online, as the Online Safety Act would require age assurance measures, which would require users to submit their biometric data, such as pictures of their face, their photo ID, credit cards, and bank statements. Stuff like that. Vicky Shop.
And of course, all of this will be used against you by the party. The facial, submitting a face, well, that's going to go on their facial recognition for their mobile AI facial recognition vans that, think a bag of chips is a firearm and misidentify people all the time. Yeah, that's going into that database. The banking, they'll basically backdoor your banking to track every single purchase you ever made. And if you make a purchase of something they don't like, you're going to get a knock on a door by the Singerman and get pulled off to re-education camp. Email based, they're already backdooring your emails to basically check your correspondences, your social media. They're already backdoored into that, checking it's little dystopia.
Is also the co-founder and CEO of an organization called Parent Zone, which is a UK charity that claims to focus on children's digital safety and quote-unquote media literacy. And that takes me to a quick side note that I mentioned the other week, which was regarding quote-unquote media literacy and how activist con artists like to use the term media literacy as a rhetorical manipulation tactic. And they do this by weaponizing the term to not actually mean anything with analyzing media genuinely, but instead what they really mean is conforming to their viewpoints. So if you conform to their views, they say that you have media literacy, and if you don't conform to their views, they say that you don't have media literacy. Obviously.
And you have to go to a re-education camp. That's what the old pathways thing is. If you do not conform to what they want, then it's off to the re-education concentration camp for you to get reprogrammed. They've already got it. They've already got the systems in place where people can basically narc on you. Like they're encouraging people to narc on their friends and narc on their family to get them put into re-education camps so that they align with what the party wants. It's already happening. That was the whole purpose of the Pathways game that spawned Amelia. They're literally trying to get you to turn on your friends, your neighbors, and your family to get them so they can get hauled off to a the Pathways game was literally an advertisement for re-education camps. That's literally the purpose of it. The end game of the Pathways, no matter what choices you made, ended up being an advertisement for re-education camps. And bearing in mind that Pathways game was marketed to young teens. That was the targeted demographic for the Pathways test, not even game. The Pathways test was marketed to young teens to indoctrinate them so they could turn in their friends and turn in their parents for wrong think. That was the entire purpose for it. And yeah, now they've got the new banter law where if you are just having a conversation in a public business and the employees of that public business get offended by something you say, even if you are not addressing them, you can literally be arrested. They are encouraging employees that hear something that they don't like, even if they're not even being talked to basically call the police and have you arrested. Again, for wrongthink. It's literally V for Vendetta come to life. It is.
That's absurd, but yeah, these are the tactics of very manipulative people. And so, it's no surprise at all that Vicky Shotbolt is using the same exact rhetoric for her charity, Parent Zone, and we can break this down even further because we can see Vicky is listed directly on Ofcom's website for their quote, established working group, unquote. They say the established working group supports Ofcom's work developing best practice principles for promoting media literacy through the design of online platforms. We are working to establish what works well and what does not for media literacy interventions on platforms in order to identify good media literacy design principles and inform our thinking about our future online safety duties. Building a consensus around best practice principles requires input from experts. Yeah, we haven't heard that before.
Right.
With varying perspectives. Yeah, varying perspectives. X to doubt on that one. I would really enjoy.
The only varying perspective is how best can we basically eliminate the freedoms of the citizenry. That's where the varying perspective is. Do we want to just flat out do it because they look at you wrong, or do we want to give them enough rope to hang themselves and then we'll go and get them? That's the varying perspectives. It's just different methodologies of how we can subjugate the citizenry.
I'd really enjoy seeing how they define varying perspectives. But anyways, we can see right below that, third from the bottom, under the section members, they list Vicky Shotbolt, once again the CEO of Parent Zone. So now let's tie this all back to Steam and this lawsuit against Valve. As the lawsuit seems to have three main claims against Valve, the first being what they call platform parity obligations or price parity rules, where they allege that Valve is forcing game devs and publishers to agree to terms that prevent them from selling PC games on other platforms at lower prices for earlier release dates, etc. Or you could simply say with better terms than on Steam. They say that these issues block competition and reduce market incentives and help Valve control a monopoly, essentially, across the entire market. The second is regarding DLC and add-on content.
Which, by the way, untrue. Steam fully allows every single developer to sell their games on multiple platforms at reduced rates, at reduced prices if they want. I can give you the perfect fucking example. Elite Dangerous. Elite Dangerous is sold on multiple platforms. It is sold on Steam, it is sold on Epic, and is sold through their own, through Frontier's own website. It's sold on 3 different platforms. And guess what? They can adjust the prices on all 3 of them at their leisure. We constantly see changes in price, like for sales, on Steam specific, Frontier specific, Epic specific, and that's just one dev. All the devs have this option. So
that was a fucking lie.
Where they allege that if a user buys a base game on Steam, that Valve restricts them into buying DLC and other so-called add-on content through Steam only, even if the DLC is available cheaper elsewhere, saying that this protects Valve's future revenue and limits consumer choice.
That part I don't know about. That I don't know if you purchase a game on Steam and you want to purchase DLC, if you can purchase DLC outside of the Steam store. I feel like you can. For some reason, I feel like you can purchase DLC for a game outside of the Steam store. Yeah, outside of the Steam store if you wish. I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I think they can. Like if you purchase a game on Steam and then you want to buy DLC, I'm pretty sure you can buy the DLC from the dev directly, can't you? You don't think they could be mixed? Okay. Different coding, okay. It's possible. It's possible. It may be limited. But at the same time, it's like the one thing that they're deliberately ignoring is that pricing when a video game is hosted on Steam, okay? This is one key factor here. A game developer creates a game. They want to sell it through their own website, but they also want to sell it through Steam. Here's the thing. If the developer wants to reduce the price on their own store, they can reduce, like, the pricing is other than like situations of sales. If the developer wants to reduce the pricing on another platform, they can also reduce on Steam. Typically speaking, the pricing for games that are on multiple platforms is universal through all of the platforms. That's the key note of distinction here. The argument that this person is trying to make is that, oh, somebody might be able to buy this DLC cheaper on a different platform, but they're locked into Steam. Here's the thing. If there's DLC on another platform, it's going to be the same price on Steam because that's how the gaming industry works. If you have a price for a game on multiple platforms, the price will be the same across all the platforms. They're not going to make it cheaper on one platform over another, with the notable exception of if they do sales. Like you have a Steam sale, you have an Epic sale, or a sale directly through the manufacturer. Or the developer, excuse me. The prices are all universally the same everywhere. As far as the DLC goes, the DLC is also universal across the platforms. If you have a game through the developer itself, and then on the Epic Store, and then on the Steam Store, and there's DLC, the DLC will be available at the exact same price across all the platforms. The price will not change no matter which platform. Universally, developers will keep the price universal across all the platforms. So the argument is stupid because they never do a cheaper price for something like DLC on a different platform versus Steam. If it's at this price on this platform, unless they're having a temporary sale, the price is going to be the same on Steam, and the price is going to be the same on the dev's own platform. That is a universal thing. So that argument is out the fucking window because there is never an instance outside of sales where a DLC or even a game is cheaper in here versus on Steam.
Then there's the third, which is excessive and unfair commission rates, where they say Valve charges up to 30% commission sales through Steam and that it's, quote, unfair and excessive, unquote. And they go on to tie the commission complaint along with the first and second complaints to ultimately say that Valve is able to sustain these high prices with no competitive pushback. Ultimately, the lawsuit seeks monetary damages of around 900 million USD as mentioned earlier. But hey, they say that
exactly. Like 30% by a carrier is pretty standard. This is like all this is bullshit gobbledygook in a desperate attempt to try and make this lawsuit look like, oh, Steam is a big nasty juggernaut. That's all this is. Yeah, it's they hate Steam. They hate the fact that Steam is consumer friendly versus corporate friendly. And so they're making these claims that is universal in the gaming industry, hoping that they can con the people and the courts into thinking that Steam is some kind of big nasty company that is taking advantage of these poor game developers when it is
She also
universal.
doesn't mention that if your game does well enough, Steam gives you percentage points back.
There you go. Well, of course she wouldn't mention that because then it completely tanks her entire argument. Because, of course, that would happen.
That if they win, all UK users will get roughly 22 to 44 pounds, which is like 30 to 50 bucks. By the way, how would UK users claim that money? Oh, most likely by having to register and verify their ID number under a claims portal. And while that could be seen as a somewhat standard practice, given Vicky's ties to Ofcom, there's kind of a, what's the word, like a twisted irony there in a way. But wait, they
Not a twisted army. There's a conspiracy theory there that if they manage to win and they say, okay, if you want the money, sign up. It's more biometric data that they can then harvest, that the party can then harvest to use against you. That's the whole purpose behind it.
They might actually be able to simplify the process because it's highly probable
Because they want access
that
to your
they're
Steam
also
account.
going to try to force Valve to provide user data to them. Isn't that wonderful? Oh, and it might take 1 to 2 years post-judgment. Again, all of that part assuming if they even win. But how would this affect the rest of all of us for Steam users worldwide? Well, Valve losing potentially $700 million USD or so could result in higher fees or passing some costs on to game devs who then raise their prices, or perhaps even a less generous refund policy, you know, stuff like that. Now let's talk about Valve's defense here, their response so far.
Here we go.
And some of it is actually just based. For example, first of all, they make the argument that Valve is essentially just built different, or excuse me, that Steam is just built different, saying that Steam is such a large market share because their platform is just superior to competitors, that they have a dedicated user base, frequent sales, and tools that devs love, and that this is culminating.
Well, actually, there's part of the problem. I don't think that Steam cutting off the UK is going to get rid of the lawsuit. That, unfortunately, is... I don't think it's going to be an option. Now, the aftermath might result in Steam cutting off the UK, but Steam preemptively cutting off the UK before this goes anywhere, I don't think it's going to matter. How are they going to collect? They'll try to figure out a way that's going to be scummy and basically puts the people of the country further under their boot. But I think preemptively cutting off the UK don't actually, if they choose to try to keep going forward with this, I don't think cutting the UK off will stop it. Because I think legally what they're gonna do is they're gonna go into, this has already happened, so even if Steam cuts off the UK, that's not gonna matter because the quote-unquote offense has already taken place. I think that's the way that they're going to try to work it if Steam was to go this route. So now, at the conclusion of all of this, is Steam going to decide, you know what, we don't want to fuck with this? You're thinking if they cut them off and then if they try to collect, Steam gives them the thing. Steam gives them the old, this right here. Possible. I don't know how that would work though, because I don't know anywhere near enough about the UK court systems and how this works. I have no idea if there would be other, actions for the UK. If Steam were to cut them off, they go forward with the suit, they win the suit. If the UK has some kind of option to collect, I have no idea. I could not tell you. What I could see as an aftermath, that Steam decides, you know what, we don't want to. UK wants to play this fucking game. We're cutting ties, and it could be, cutting the UK off could be an aftermath thing. Certainly, it's possible.
It is mentioned into a superior platform. They also go on to directly call out the claims of damages brought forward from the lawsuit, saying that the plaintiff's math doesn't add up for a collective case and that they can't prove who's being overcharged and who isn't, out of all of these millions of users that they're claiming to represent, and that it's inaccurate to lump everyone together in the way that the plaintiff is. Bolstering that defense, they go on to directly attack the lawsuit being a class action lawsuit, saying that a class action approach like this is an overreach that ignores real world nuance.
Yes.
Valve then pushed
Absolutely
back hard
it
on
does.
allegations of forcing strict parity, saying that devs can indeed run temporary deals and bundles elsewhere without issues, and that their 30% cut is a standard industry rate. Furthermore, they of course don't force anyone to use Steam. It's just that devs willingly use it for all of the massive value that they get from being...
There it is. There it is. That is why Steam is going to dogpile this. Or it's basically going to stop on this one. None of these devs are forced to use Steam. Every single one of these devs chooses to use Steam to platform their game. It is all choice. Every fucking one of them chooses to use Steam. And they choose to use Steam because Steam is the biggest platform for games in the world, is the biggest distribution platform in the world. They have a perfectly good industry standard when it comes to the cut. And as one of you guys pointed out, if the game does well, Steam will actually reward the devs further monetarily if the game does well. That's what it's going to boil down to. Now, again, this is taking, that's where I was going. This would work in a non-corrupt legal system. Unfortunately, this is taking place in the UK, which has a disgustingly corrupt legal system. So that's throwing a whole other wrinkle into the mix.
Listed on the platform, and that anyone is absolutely allowed to use competitors, and that competitors do exist. But once again, devs simply choose Steam over the competition because of the aforementioned benefits like visibility, tools, and the dedicated and large user base. But perhaps one of their biggest counter-arguments to the parity-related allegations are Valve's Steam keys. They say that devs actually get those for free and are fully capable of selling them on alternative sites like Humble Bundle or whatever they want, with Valve taking zero commission on those sales. This means that devs can, and many do, undercut Steam's prices in this manner. And again, Steam has no issue with it. As a matter of fact, Steam's own rules allow devs to engage in this manner. Ultimately, Valve says that point completely negates the monopoly argument that the plaintiff is trying to make, and also makes the complaint about overcharging completely fall apart. And lastly, a little bit of details regarding the timeline, as the lawsuit was being prepped throughout 2025, but officially just began on January 26, 2026. So there's currently no new updates as of recording, and no trial date yet set. But yeah, that is all of the irrelevant information so far, and now in my opinion, I'll just mention, I have a bias in favor of Steam. I actually really like Steam. I think it's a great platform.
I do
and
too.
I definitely don't trust this group going after Valve here. I mean,
No,
Vicky,
they're completely
Shotbolt,
nefarious.
She seems like a very suspicious individual, again, in my opinion.
Absolutely,
but yeah,
it's
Steam has
completely
been
nefarious.
great. Get discounts on games all the time. Like, I can gladly wishlist them and wait and then get sales on them. There's a few games I've tried out, ended up not liking. They got a really nice refund policy. I've never had a problem with that. And Steam users are pretty based people usually, so I mean, what's not to like about Steam? I can't think of like one thing I dislike. Oh, you know what? The one thing I dislike about Steam is that whole big picture mode thing. I hate that thing. I don't think I'm the only one that's been there, bro.
Picture mode.
You like misclick by accident, it pulls up the whole big picture thing that takes up your whole screen, and you got to exit that. That is, I think, the only complaint I have about Steam. And to be fair, half of that is a skill issue because I'm the one misclicking.
I don't think I've ever used that. I don't know about it.
I digress. Let me know what you think about the lawsuit and what you think about Steam. And thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you have a great week ahead, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.
Yeah, it's like Steam by all rights. Steam.
They hate us because they ain't us.
Basically, that's, you know what? That's it exactly. And in a court that was not completely corrupt, in a court that was not completely corrupt, Steam would dog walk anybody that tried to bring this kind of suit against them. However, in the UK, In the UK, it could potentially be a completely different story because the UK, the party, and the courts are all completely corrupt. Yeah, you know what? Maybe I unfortunately, I could absolutely see that. I could absolutely see Steam basically just saying, you know what? Fuck it. We're out. And just completely cut off the UK, which I feel bad for people. I feel bad for the people of the UK because the 14 million people that they've roped into this don't want to have anything to do with it and probably love Steam. And my guess is that a lot of them don't even know that it's happening. Maybe my little stream, my little video will let more people know in the UK that this is happening and they can try to opt out of it. You guys are saying it's damn near impossible to even opt out of it in the first place. Hopefully, if they're able to, they can try to opt out of it. And like that 14 million that this bitch is claiming are all on board with this class action lawsuit turns into what? Hopefully. We'll see. It's more fucking dystopia coming out of the UK.